Introduction of alcohol. In this century, it is believed that crude oil and petroleum products will become very scarce and costly. Day to day, fuel economy of engine is getting improved and will continue to improve. However, the increasing in number of vehicles has started dictating the demand for fuel use. With increased use and depletion of the fossil fuel, alternative fuel technology will become more common in the upcoming decades. Because of the depletion of the petroleum product, the price has become high, in which it makes some countries to develop an alternative fuel to use for their vehicle. Alcohol have been used as a fuel. The first four aliphatic alcohol is methanol, ethanol, propanol, and butanol. Are of interest as fuel because they can synthesize chemically or biologically, and they have characteristics which allow them to be used in internal combustion engine. Alcohol are alternate fuel because they can be obtained from both natural and manufactured source. Methanol and ethanol are the kind of alcohol that seem promising.
The properties of alcohol as engine fuel. Alright, alcohol mainly made up of methanol and ethanol. It is derived from fossil fuels, biomass, or perhaps most simply from carbon dioxide and water. Methanol is the simple molecule, and ethanol can be made from methanol. Methanol also can be produced industrially from any biomass, for example, animal waste, carbon dioxide, water, steam, by converting biomass to synthesis gas in a gasifier process. It can also be produced in a laboratory using electrolysis or enzyme. Both alcohol have high octane rating, with ethanol at 109 research octane number and methanol also at 100 or 109 raw number. Methanol and ethanol fuels contain soluble and insoluble contaminant. Halide ion, which are soluble contaminant, such as chloride ion, have a large effect on the corrosivity of alcohol fuels. Halide ion increase corrosion in two ways. They chemically attack passivating oxide film on several metals, causing pitting corrosion, and they increase the conductivity of the fuel. Its increased electrical conductivity, which promotes electrical, galvanic, and ordinary corrosion in the fuel system. Soluble contaminants such as aluminum hydroxide itself, a product of corrosion by halide ion, clogs the fuel system over time. To prevent corrosion happen in the fuel system must be made of suitable material. Electrical wires must be properly insulated, and the fuel level sensor must be of pulse and hole type. Magnetoresistive or other similar non-contact type. In addition, high quality alcohol should have a low concentration of contaminant and have suitable corrosion inhibitor added. Next, properties of component which made up for alcohol as engine fuel is butanol and propanol. Propanol and butanol are considerably less toxic and less volatile than methanol. In particular, butanol has a high flash point of 35 degrees Celsius, which is a benefit for fire safety, but may be a difficulty for starting engines in cold weather. The concept of flash point is, however, not directly applicable to engine, as the compression of the air in the cylinder means that the temperature is several hundred degrees Celsius before ignition takes place. The fermentation process to produce propanol and butanol from cellulose are fairly tricky to execute, and the Weizmann organism currently used to perform this conversion produces an extremely unpleasant smell, and this must be taken into consideration when designing and locating a fermentation plant. This organism also dies when the butanol content of whatever it is fermenting rises to 7%. For comparison, yeast dies when the ethanol content of its feedstock hit 14%. Specialized strain can tolerate even greater ethanol concentration, so-called turbo yeast can withstand up to 16% of ethanol. However, if ordinary Saccharomyces yeast can be modified to improve its ethanol resistance, this would be useful because butanol has a higher energy density than ethanol, and because waste fiber left over from sugar crop used to make ethanol could be made into butanol, raising the alcohol yield of fuel crops without there being a need for more crops to be planted.
So we move to advantages of alcohol. First, it contains high octane fuel with anti-knock index numbers of over 100. So it means detonation can be eliminated in internal combustion engine. Second, it can run more efficiently with higher compression ratios. Next, fuel mixed with alcohols are higher flame speeds. It produces less overall emissions compared to conventional gasoline. And then, when alcohols are burned, it forms more moles in exhaust gases, which give higher pressure and more power in expansion stroke. It has high latent heat of vaporization, which results in cooler intake process, and this raises the volumetric efficiency of the engine and reduces the required work input in the compression stroke. Then, alcohols have low sulfur content in fuel, and it means low emission level emits in the environment. And lastly, it reduces petroleum imports in transportation. And next, we move to disadvantages of alcohol. Alcohols have low energy content, or in other words, the calorific value of fuel is less. Second, with equal thermal efficiency and similar engine output usage, twice as much fuel would have to be purchased. Third, even with the low energy content of the fuel, engine power for a given displacement would be about the same. This is because of the low air-fuel ratio needed by alcohol. Next, alcohol contains oxygen and thus required less air for stoichiometric combustion. More fuel can be burned with the same amount of air. Alcohol is much more corrosive than gasoline on copper, brass, aluminium, rubber and many plastics. This puts restriction on design and manufacturing of engines to be used with the fuel. Example, methanol is very corrosive on metals. And lastly, it has poor cool weather characteristic due to low vapor pressure and evaporation.
Alcohol with gasoline and diesel blend. A blend is known as a mixture of two or more substances. Several common ethanol fuel mixtures are in use around the world. Primary role is to improve the air quality. As we know, the use of ethanol is only possible if the engine are designed or modified for that purpose. Ethanol blended petrol. What's known of hydrous or anhydrous ethanol in petrol called ethanol blended petrol. It can be differentiated to have an E numbers which describe percentage of ethanol fuel in the mixture by volume. As for the example given, E85 stands for 85% ethanol and 15% gasoline. For low ethanol blend, we call it E5 to 25, also known as gasohol. Ethanol blended diesel. This diesel fuel often called E-diesel or E-diesel. Okay. Other name also known as oxygenated diesel. If we want to get a stable blend, E-diesel often mixed with emulsifier or additive up to 5% or more. Diesel blend containing methyl ester are called biodiesel. Standard diesel blend are up to 50% ethanol, 80% diesel. Here are some advantages of ethanol blended fuel. Okay, the advantages is we get lower carbon CO, CO2, hydrocarbon and NOx emission, and also contain fewer volatile compound. Ethanol is widely available and easy to use. And last one, ethanol is an antifreeze agent. It means the fuel will not freeze when the air temperature below freezing. The last one, the advantages of ethanol blended fuel. This is because energy content in ethanol is lower than traditional fuel, also causing lower fuel mileage. Ethanol, which can absorb waters, may lead to metal corrosion in an engine. Highly flammable and explosive compared to normal fuel. So the fourth one is aldehyde ethanol can cause irritation to nose, eye, throat and possibly cancer.
Combustion and emission characteristic in engine. First, for engine torque and brake specific fuel consumption. Engine torque decrease after reach to the maximum point along with the increasing of engine speeds. The decrease in torque of gasoline users is higher than ethanol and methanol. The best engine torque obtained with methanol is 11.76 Nm. The minimum brake specific fuel consumption for pure ethanol and methanol increased by 56% and 84% when compared with the least values of gasoline. The increase in brake specific fuel consumption of methanol users is higher than ethanol and gasoline. Next, for brake thermal efficiency. Brake thermal efficiency generally increase with the use of ethanol and methanol. Brake thermal efficiency in methanol users increase more than gasoline and ethanol users when it reaches to the maximum engine speed. Brake thermal efficiency in gasoline and methanol users decrease more than ethanol users at high engine speed. For combustion efficiency, alcohol users cause to increase in combustion efficiency when compared to the gasoline case. Combustion efficiency for the all test fuels increase with the increase of engine speed. The maximum combustion efficiency for pure ethanol and methanol increased by 0.29% and 0.51% when compared with the value of gasoline. Next, for unburned hydrocarbon and carbon monoxide emissions. Alcohol fuel caused to decrease in hydrocarbon and carbon monoxide emission when compared to the gasoline. Carbon monoxide emission decrease and hydrocarbon increase after reaching to the minimum point with the increasing engine speed. This decreasing is related with the carbon rate in the fuel components and laminar flame speeds. Last, for carbon dioxide and nitrogen oxide emission. The carbon rate in the fuel compound of the alcohol fuel is lower than gasoline. Alcohol fuels cause to increase in carbon dioxide emission and to significant decrease in nitrogen oxide emission when compared to the gasoline. Oxygen ratio in alcohol is hence the combustion efficiency and cause to the higher carbon dioxide emission.